Tell me a story about R2D2 and Darth Vader being best of friends.
Once upon a time, in a galaxy far, far away, deep within the sprawling mechanical bowels of the Executor, Darth Vader's flagship, there was an unlikely friendship that no one in the Empire dared speak of aloud. It started during a routine systems check on the bridge. Vader was stalking past the control consoles, cape billowing like a shadow, when a small astromech droid rolled straight into his path, its dome swiveling wildly. The droid let out a series of frantic beeps, bree boop weep boop, and promptly crashed into Vader's boot, sending sparks flying from its tread. The entire bridge crew froze, expecting the Dark Lord to crush the little machine into scrap. Instead, Vader tilted his helmet down, and for a long moment, the only sound was the steady mechanical breathing of his suit. Then, in a voice that rumbled like distant thunder, he said, "This unit is damaged. Bring it to my private workshop." The crew exchanged terrified glances. No one had ever seen Vader take interest in a lowly droid before, but orders were orders. That evening, in the dimly lit workshop hidden behind Vader's meditation chamber, the Dark Lord himself knelt beside the astromech. He removed its dented panel with surprising care, his gloved fingers tracing the scorch marks from a recent skirmish. The droid whistled softly, almost apologetically. Vader's mask hid any expression, but his reply came low and steady. "You were protecting the hyperdrive relays from that rebel ion blast. A bold act for such a small machine." The droid's photoreceptor glowed brighter. It responded with a cheerful series of chirps that translated roughly to, "I like fixing things. You like breaking things. We could be a team." Vader paused, the red lights of his saber hilt reflecting in the droid's shiny dome. For the first time in years, a low, raspy chuckle escaped his vocoder. "Bold words, little one. What is your designation?" The droid spun its head proudly. "Bep boop preep." "R2D2, Vader repeated, almost tasting the name. "Very well, R2D2. You will stay with me." And so began their secret friendship. Every night after the bridge crew retired, R2 would roll quietly into Vader's chambers. The Sith Lord would sit in his massive chair, and the little droid would project holographic star maps across the room, plotting hyperspace routes that even the best Imperial navigators couldn't match. Vader would share stories, dark tales of ancient Sith battles, of planets swallowed by black holes, of lightsaber duels that shook star systems. R2 responded with excited whistles and beeps, sometimes projecting funny little cartoons of stormtroopers tripping over their own feet, which made Vader's shoulders shake with silent laughter. One evening, as the Executor cruised past the glowing rings of a gas giant, Vader confessed something no living soul had ever heard. "I once had a friend like you," he said, voice softer than the hum of the ship's engines. "Someone small, brave, and far too stubborn for their own good. His name was Anakin." R2's dome tilted, and he let out a gentle, almost understanding boop. Vader reached out and gently polished a smudge from R2's side with a cloth. "You remind me of better days, little droid. Days before the darkness." Their bond grew stronger with each passing month. When Vader's suit needed recalibration, R2 was the only one allowed to assist, his tiny manipulator arms delicately adjusting circuits while Vader meditated. In return, Vader programmed R2 with top-secret Imperial codes and even let him slice into restricted databases just for fun, mostly to prank Admiral Piet by changing all the ship's alert tones to cheerful beeping music. But their greatest adventure came during a rebel ambush in the Anoat system. The Executor was taking heavy fire, shields failing, and a critical power coupling had blown in the lower decks. Stormtroopers were too slow, engineers too panicked. Vader strode through the chaos, cape snapping, when R2 suddenly rolled past him at full speed, dodging blaster bolts like a pro. "R2, return at once," Vader boomed. But the droid ignored him, plugging straight into the damaged panel. Sparks flew as R2 worked frantically, rerouting power, stabilizing the hyperdrive in seconds. The ship lurched back into hyperspace just as a rebel cruiser fired its main cannon. The bridge crew cheered until they saw who had saved them. That night, in the workshop, Vader stood over the slightly scorched droid. "You disobeyed a direct order," he said sternly. Then, after a long pause, Thank you, my friend. R2 gave a happy little spin and projected a tiny holographic heart made of stars. From that day forward, whenever Vader walked the corridors, R2-D2 was never far behind, rolling proudly at his side. The crew whispered in fear, but deep in the shadows of the Empire, two unlikely souls had found something rare, a friendship that even the Force itself couldn't break. And somewhere, in the vastness of space, the stars seemed to shine just a little brighter for it.